Hi, I'm Teri, and I'm a designer with Big Busy Bee Paper Company, and today I'm doing a series of 5 cards with the Bundle of Joy paper, and this is project number 1. My finished cards I like to stick with 5.5 by 4 1/4 size for the finished size, because you can find standard sized envelopes that will fit those in any store, really, office supply store or anywhere. My cardstock that I always like to use as a base, I like to take a 8.5 by 11 sheet of cardstock and I cut it in half to get a shape like this, and then I just fold them in half, and that makes it the perfect size for the envelopes. Otherwise you can take a 12 by 12 size and trim it to an 8.5 by 11 and then cut it in half to get this, so any size paper will work for that. I have taken all my pieces that I use and I've pre-cut them just to save time. I have this piece of paper that I'm using from the Big Busy Bee collection, and you want to make sure that if your design has a certain direction that it's pointing, that you adhere it onto your card in the right direction, because once you stick it down it is not going to come off. I'm using a tape gun. You can use any kind of adhesive that you have, glue dots or glue sticks or anything. I prefer something that I know is going to last a long time. So I'm just going to stick this down and center it on this cardstock as well as I can. And so here is my finished card. So you see I have that stuck on there like that. And so my next piece is going to be this scalloped edge piece that I have right here. And usually when I do a scalloped edge like that, I have a pattern that I'm going to stick on top of it. And so I like to stick the pattern on there first in case I make a mistake. Then I can cut a new piece. So I'm going to stick this on here and get it lined up, centered as much as possible. If it's not perfect, that doesn't matter, because it's handmade and you don't want people to think that you bought it in a store if you spent all this time making it yourself. So I'm just going to stick it on the card in this area. A little more adhesive. I'm going to line it up and stick it down. It's a little crooked, but that's okay. My next thing is this ribbon that it's all crinkly and pretty, and I actually used seam binding tape that just starts out white, and I get it damp, and then I use these ink mister things. They come in all brands and all different colors and sizes, and once I get it damp, then I use a big mat to protect the table, and then I just spritz the ribbon with it, and then I kind of crunch it up and stuff it inside a Dixie cup and let it dry overnight. And then it comes out all crinkly like this, and then the color will be all mottled and kind of cool looking. So I'm going to stick it down. I'm going to use glue dots because it's easier to maneuver with them. So I'm going to start in the center of this strip here and get it stuck on there. And then as I'm sticking it on there, I don't want it to be flat like this. So I'm going to kind of bunch it up as I'm sticking it down, just so it gives it a lot of texture. You can never have too much texture when you're doing this. So you would just go along the whole section and stick your glue dots down on there like that until you get it clear across the card. The next part is this circle, and I've got those pre-cut. I used a die cut machine for my circles, but you can use any kind of stencil, or even if you have like a drinking glass or a paper cup or something to cut out your circles. They don't have to be perfect. So I'm just going to stick the smaller circle to the bigger one. And after I cut out the circle, I just used a rubber stamp and stamped the sweet baby on there to go with my baby boy themed card. I'm going to stick it on here centered as much as possible, just like this. And then I have these little square pop dot adhesives that I like to use just because it kind of makes this saying pop out from the card. So I'm just going to stick a few of those onto the back of this circle. You can use as many as you want or as few as you want. They stick pretty good, so you don't have to worry about them falling off. And I'm going to center this, and I like to have my circle stick up from the top of the card just a tiny bit, just to give it a little bit more dimension. So I'm gonna stick this on here, just like that. And next I have my little metal baby feet that I'm going to use. And you can use any kind of little embellishment that you want. It could be a sticker or anything really. And I just have this glue that I'm gonna stick them down with. Get one of them stuck on there. And it takes several minutes for this glue to dry. I'm going to glue this second little foot on here. And just kind of stick them next to each other so they look like little footprints. And then I'm going to take my glue dots as this is drying and finish out my ribbon. And I just kind of squish the ribbon up as I'm sticking it down, and that helps it have that texture that you want. You just kind of smush it together as much as you can. These glue dots work great for any kind of ribbon because you can control where you're sticking the glue. Usually with the ends of the ribbon, you can tuck them underneath. If you want, you would do that before you stuck this blue part down, obviously. Otherwise, you can just trim them off. I'm going to just trim them off. And you have your finished card. And then something I like to do is I have a rubber stamp that says handmade by. So people always like to know that you actually made the card yourself and that you didn't purchase it somewhere. So I'm just gonna quick stamp this on the back of the card. And then I would sign my name to the back of it. And then if you're making this for somebody specific, you can always put someone's name on there, and you can open it up and you can write a special message or use a rubber stamp with a saying on it. And that is the end of that card. Thanks for watching today and learning more about Big Busy Bee Papers. I invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel to watch more video tutorials. If you have any questions or suggestions on collections you would like to see in the future, contact us on Facebook. We would also love to see your projects that you post and tag us on Pinterest.